Hi guys, welcome to DevOpsSchool. In this video tutorial, we are going to learn about Git. Git is a free and open source distributed version control system which tracking the changes in source code during software development with speed and efficiency. It is designed for coordinating work among programmers and used to track changes in any set of files. After going through this session, I promise you that the concept and understanding of the Git will be absolutely clear to you. But before we begin, let me inform you few things about us. DevOpsSchool is one of the leading platforms which offers DevOps, cloud and containers technology training and certification programs for freshers and established professionals who wish to update and consolidate their skills in the dynamic IT scenario. We ensure that the training solutions are delivered by highly experienced domain experts with practical working experience in various verticals. You can join our all training programs globally through online platforms, and if you're looking for classroom workshop, then we have regular batches available in Hyderabad and Bangalore. Check out the dates and enroll with us for our upcoming batches. For more info, link and contact details are mentioned in the description below.
Okay. So this is my GitHub repository. I hope all of you are having it. If not, I'm sharing that GitHub link. And today we are going to talk about this GitHub. So all right. So let us talk about GitHub, or let's first talk about what is version control system. Okay, so here today's topic will be version control system. Okay, so whenever we are talking about the version control system, it is mostly it is related to the developer. Okay, not necessarily, but most of the time developer use this version control system. So say an example, there is a developer who is writing some code, okay, and that code he wants to maintain it. What is the meaning of maintenance of the code?
Raman?
The meaning is that, yeah.
So when we say only most of the time developers only use it, other than developers, DevOps and operational engineers also do use that a lot, and QA automation team also use that a lot, right?
Right. Means wherever there is a programming concept comes. So developer means mostly. So say an example, if you are in a project and in that project you are writing some code. So the major part of your DevOps cycle, which basically you are concentrating, is the application, because ultimately that application is to be moved to the production, and you need to monitor, you need to create the load balancing, you need to do a lot of other stuffs related to that application. So when I'm talking about that application, so someone has written some line of code for that, right? And that line of code is basically we need to maintain it. But
Yeah.
yes, that's so, but yes, wherever you think that I need to maintain my document, if I want to maintain my configuration management related code, if I want to, means that is again code, right? So if I say configuration management system, which is either Ansible, Puppet, Chef, SaltStack, whatever it is, so you are writing some code. So there DevOps engineer is basically he's working as a dev, means developer, so he wants to maintain that code. So means for my means my intention here is that the code, most of the part, means if we talk about complete life cycle, most of the part, the code which is written by the developer, we basically concentrate on that. The reason is because if I say uh, out of this 90% of the code is my application code, right? So even though we write the configuration management related code, or Kubernetes related code, which is container orchestration, That also we can maintain by using some version control system. But that's what means. I'm not saying 100%, but 90% of the code is your application code, which we have more giving emphasis on that, which is to be maintained properly. Okay, so this code is to be maintained. So what is the meaning of maintenance here? Maintenance means, say an example, a developer means any developer. It could be a DB also, right? Means who is writing the code related to SQL. It could be as quality manager, means quality assurance team, or it could be normal developers who are writing the code for web application or custom applications. So that code which the developer is writing it is keep changing. So say an example, he is writing the code into file 1. I'm taking very simple example. And today he has written say 10 lines of code or 100 lines of code. And now at the end of the day or at certain point, he thinks that this code is to be maintained. Maintained means I want to create a version of this. So my version 1, which is having 1 to 100 lines of code, which he has written. Now tomorrow he comes and he thinks that this 100 lines, out of this 100 lines of code, I need to modify 25 lines into this. It could be consecutive lines, it could be, random lines, first, third, 15th, something he wants to change, or he wants to add some another 100 lines. So any change. And the changes which he is doing, that is to be version 2. Now this version 2 should be whatever my version 1 was having plus the changes. Okay, so if he made some changes into the existing code, so the changes should be here, not the code which was in version 1. Now same way he is going to change something into version 2. Now he is going to work on version 3, some changes, and so on. He is keeping these changes. Now if he wants to revert back its changes, so say an example, he thinks that if I am on version 2, the code was more stable as compared to version 3. So let me go back and revert back to the version 2 code. So in that case, you can do the revert back. And if you want something from version 1 to version 3, version 3 to version 1 means your different versions are there. Now, if you want to switch to any version, you can switch to that version. And these versions are always there. Say an example, on version 3, when you move to testing and you find that there are a lot of bugs and tester is saying the previous or version 1 was giving good result as compared to version 3. So you can revert back the changes. So this is the main purpose of the version control. So it will keep track of your changes which you are doing for your application. Is it clear to everyone what is version control system? And most of the time we use that, right? Means if you, even though if you are a developer, if you are a tester, so if you are writing the script, test script, these days Selenium we use, so you want to maintain that. Okay, so if you are a SQL developer, again you want to keep that script somewhere into version control system. So this will be the kind of a, as from the beginning I'm saying, it is mostly used by the developer. Okay, but as a DevOps engineer, if you are a DevOps engineer, you should know about this, because whenever we are using CI/CD pipeline with Jenkins, so we need to integrate our code with GitHub or version control system. So So if you have a knowledge of this, that will be good. But most of the time, developers are writing the code and they are pushing the code to the version control system, which is central and distributed, which we will talk now after you understand this. So I hope uh, everyone understand what is version control system and what is the importance of this. Anyone has any doubt? Okay. So now let us talk about version control system types. So there are two types. One is your centralized version control system. So we have a one server and that server is maintaining the version control. That is maintaining your versions of your application. So this developer is here and he's writing the code on his machine. So that is his laptop. He's writing the code. And whenever he makes the changes, so it goes to the central repository. So that we call whenever he's committing the changes. So we call it commit. So he wants to maintain the version. So version control system is this central repository. And here the version 1, version 2, version 3 is maintained. And say an example, there is a new developer comes and he wants the latest version. So he need not to uh, contact to this existing user. So what he will do, he will pull the code from the central repository. So what he's doing, he's pulling the code and this guy is pushing the code, latest code. So once the latest code is on the central repository, so this is my central repository. So if the code is on the central repository and if a new developer comes, so he will connect to this particular central repository and pull the latest and greatest code and he can work on it. And later, if he also wants, so he can push the code, okay, to maintain the proper version. Because whenever we are creating the application, it is not necessarily only one developer is working. There could be multiple developers are working on the same file or same application. Then they should have the facility to pull or push the code. Okay. The big disadvantage of this is that every time whenever they are committing, they need to push the code. And if this most of the time this server is not in the same location where the developer is working. So say an example, if you are in India and if you are in India and the central repository is in US, even though internet speed or your VPN everything is very, very fast, but it takes time and developer does not feel comfortable to do hundreds of commits in a day. Even though he wants to maintain that changes, the change set, whatever he is doing, he wants to maintain it. Say an example, in a file, he is doing 10 changes and he wants to maintain these 10 changes, but he has to connect to the central repository, save, and it is basically, it takes time whenever you are pushing the code or pulling the code or whenever uh, if someone else is working on the same file. So there is always delay, and that's why developer feels little bit uncomfortable to push the code because it basically consume time. So it delays his development work. Okay. So by considering all this, let us first understand what is our uh, version control system. So this is my repository, which I have just shared with you. And if you go here, there is a Git repository, a Git folder. Under that, you will find one version control with Git PDF. So these are my notes. Okay, so what you need to do means you need to create an account in GitHub. So what is Git and GitHub? We will talk about that. You need to go github.com and sign up. Okay, if you already have the account, then it is fine. If you create the account and the link which I have shared you, you will get this kind of window, and on the top you will find fork. So you can click on fork. So what it will do, it will pull the my repository into your account. Means whatever the notes I have, DevOps notes, I have a lot of notes like Ansible, Chef, interview questions, Docker, Git, Jenkins, Kubernetes, Nagios, and Ansible, some project, right? Maven, I think day after we are going to discuss about that. So once you fork it, so the entire repository comes to your repository, means into your GitHub account. Okay, so let me go to my Git and version control with the Git. So this is a PDF. Okay, version control systems are the category of the software tools that help a software team manage changes to the source code over the time. Version control software keeps track of every modification to the code in a special kind of database. If a mistake is made, developers can turn back the clock and compare earlier versions of the code to help fix the mistake while minimizing the disruptions of all the team members. Okay, so that is what we have discussed. Now let us talk about centralized version control system. Centralized version control systems are based on the idea there is a single central copy of the project somewhere, right? The central server which I have explained you. Committing a change simply means recording the change in the central system. So whenever we are doing a commit, it means I am just change, creating some version, and that version will get stored onto the central repository. Other programmers can see this change. They can also pull down the changes, and the version control tool automatically update the contents of any files that were changed. Okay, so version control system will basically automatically keep track of all the changes which a developer is doing whenever he is doing a commit. So if you see this diagram, this is central repository, this is developer 1, developer 2, and they are doing check-in and check-out. Check-in means they are pushing the code into the central repository, whereas checkout means they are pulling the code from the central repository. Now, let us just talk about the workflow of the central version control system. Pull down any changes other people have made from the central server. So what they can do means in the central repository, because everything is there. So if a new developer comes and join, then that central repository code they can pull down. Make any uh, changes, make your changes and make sure they work properly. Okay, you can make that changes and it should work properly. Commit the changes, commit your changes to the central server so the programmers can see them. Some of the most common centralized version control system you may have heard are CVS, Subversion, and Perforce. Okay, so there is uh, TFS also, right? So these all are the centralized version control system. Anyone has any doubt, any question related to central version control system? Okay. Now let us talk about the distributed version control system. So in distributed version control system, basically what happens that we have a, so here if you see we have, okay, here I cannot make, okay, so let me go back to my paint. Okay, so here is the developer. It's the laptop of the developer who is working on it. We call it worker node, or if you can say it has the working copy of your code. Okay, so there will be a central server, okay, which has the latest code. Okay, so say an example, there is file 1, which is the latest code. So this code will be downloaded to this particular machine, and it has the working copy, right? Same way, there is another developer who can have the same file which is downloaded here. Which file? This file. Similar way, there is another developer who is working on the same project, and he also has the same file. So this is, here we have file 1. Here also we have file 1, file 1. Okay. In the central repository case, basically what was happening, whenever a developer says, say an example, this is developer 1, this is developer 2, and this is developer 3. So any developer who is making the changes, he has to commit the changes to the central repository directly. So there is no interface in between. So you need to install some software, and you need to integrate with your integrated development environment like Eclipse, .NET, Visual Studio, right? So you need to integrate that, and after that you can do the frequent commits to the central repository. But as I was telling you that there is a problem if your server is not on your on your region, it is somewhere out, right? So even though you are having a good connection, but pushing the code always take a time, and developer does not feel comfortable to push the code so frequently. So instead of, means if he wants to push 100 commits a day, he is pushing 10 commits, because unnecessarily it will hamper his work, because the code which he wants to push, it takes time. Now what happens now, there is a other way to do that. What I am doing, I'm just maintaining a local repository here. Okay, I'm creating a local repository, and this local repository is on same laptop where developer is working. Okay, so the repository which was here earlier, now that repository is here on the local machine. So that is called the local repository. Now what the developer will do, once he get this file, okay, once the code is on his machine, then if he makes any changes, the changes are not going to the central machine directly. So he's making the changes, all the changes get recorded on the local repository, and whenever he feels that, okay, I have done these 100 changes, now I can move these 100 changes to my central repository. Then he will push that code to the central repository. Same way, this developer 1 or developer 2 and 3, they are having the same way to do that. So they are basically storing the data onto the local repository first. And once they feel that everything is fine, then they are pushing that code to the central repository. So the benefit is that the commits, so say an example, developer one wants to do the 100 commits. And earlier, because of this network thing, he was doing 10 commits and means he was maintaining 10 versions. Now he's maintaining 100 versions. Okay, or 100 commits he's doing. And in the end of the day, when he feels that, okay, I'm done with the today's changes, or if you think that a particular point where you think that, okay, I'm done with my changes, let me push my changes to my center repository. So whatever the versions you have created, say an example, you have done 100 versions. So these 100 versions will be get recorded on your center repository. So whenever you are pushing it to the center repository, we call it a push process. And whenever you are retrieving that information from your center repository, we call pull. And whenever you are performing a task on the local repository, we call commit. Okay. Anyone has any doubt, any question? Okay. So okay, so I think it's clear to everyone? Okay. Okay. So this way, basically, now if you don't mind, if you understand it, because I did not get any, let me ask a question. Let me ask a question that Naveen, can you give me one benefit of this process over central repository?
Yeah, Raman. Again, in central repository, since um, the server is not local, it will take a lot of time to do commits.
Right.
But in the distributed version control, since we have it on the local machine and we are just doing a pull, it's easier and faster commits, and we can
That's
do
great.
many commits.
That's great. Okay. So SimSam, can you tell me uh, what do you think, which approach you will use, whether you will be going to use central repository or this is called distributed repository. Which one you think is better one, or which one you think that if you are a developer, then you are going to use that approach for your version control system. Sam, you are on mute if you are talking. Okay, so Dishant, can you? Okay, Dishant, can you hear me? Oh, mic is not working, is it? Okay, you can write it on the chat window. Yeah, so Dishant, so I'm asking that which approach you think is better, if you means distributed or centralized version control system. You can type it. That will be fine. Okay. So Dishant is saying central repository one is better. Okay. So Oh, okay, I can see two Dishant. Is it same person or different person? Dishant, I can see two persons. Okay, same. Okay, okay. So you are connected with two. All right. So yeah, Dishant, you can go with the central repository. Okay, okay. So you can go with the central repository, but now that approach is going down. Now most of the time we are using the distributed version control system because here the developer has more facility to push the code or to commit the code onto the local repository. Okay. All right. So now today's lecture is basically on distributed version control system. So in distributed version control system, we are going to use the local repository as well as the central repository. And for the local repository, we are going to use the tool which is Git. And for central repository, means this central repository, we are going to use GitHub. So it's a very frequently asked question, what is the difference between Git and GitHub? As of now, the thing which I have explained you can see it is Git is the local repository and GitHub is the central repository. Okay, so now let us go back to our notes again. So here you can see this is my central repository. This is dev1, dev2, dev3. They have the working copy of the code. And here you can see this is the file which is to be modified or which is the latest code. And dev1, dev2, dev3, they have their own local repository. So dev1 is doing the commit on the local repository. Dev2 is also doing the commit on the local repository. Dev3 also. And ultimately, this code is to be pushed or pulled, right, to the central repository. So what is the advantage of this distributed version control system? Performing action other than pushing and pulling change sets is extremely fast because the tool only needs to access the hard drive. So where is local repository? Local repository on your local hard drive. Okay, so that is the advantage. Committing new change sets can be done locally without anyone else seeing them. So whenever you are making any changes, right, where it is getting changed on your local repository. So other developers cannot see it. They can see only once that changes are into the central repository. But if whatever the changes you are doing, and in the end, if you are doing the changes into the same repository, then you can think that we will merge it in the end, right? So merge you can do, but if you don't want to uh, move it into the central repository and you want to discuss with the other developers that these changes I have done, whether or you want to discuss about that changes, and then you want to push, that is also fine, right? So everything but pushing and pulling can be done without internet connection. So you can work on a plane and you won't be forced to commit several bug fixes as one big change set. Okay, so multiple things you can do at one as a one change set, and you can push it to the central repository. Since each programmer has full copy of project repository, they can share the changes with one or two other people at a time if they want to get some feedback before showing the changes to everyone. Now, this is the logo of Git. and we write it into the small letters, Git. Git is most commonly used version control system today and quickly becoming the standard for version control. Git is free and open source version control system originally created by Linus in 2005. So the person who has created Linux operating system, same person has created Git. Git is distributed version control system, means your local copy of the code is complete version control repository. You commit your work locally and sync your copy of the repository with copy on the server. Okay, so it's the same thing. Now, when we talk about DevOps, in the DevOps, where Git exists, it exists here. So it is code, your code, and shared repository. So this thing when we are maintaining, so we need to use Git. Git means any version control system, because Git is, in 2015 it was 69.3% companies they were using that, but now that number is quite high. It is almost more than 80% people they are using Git. All the IDE like Eclipse, Visual Studio Code, or the other PyCharm, so they all have Git inbuilt now. Okay, so now let us see how to do the installation. So installation you can do in two ways. One is you can install it on Linux machines. You can install it on Mac operating system. You can install it on the Windows operating system. Okay, so we will see the installation on Windows and Linux box. So what I am going to do, I'm going to create one instance, AWS instance on my, I will create one Red Hat system and select it. Okay. Okay, and here, one second. Okay, so now it is in the running state. So what I will do, I will connect it. So you can connect with PuTTY, you want to connect with, any SSH client. But what I want to do, I just want to connect it by using MobaXterm. So MobaXterm is also one of the very popular SSH client. Okay, so I will connect, click on session, and here I can use this IP address, and the username is ec2-user, and settings, you can select the, and say okay. Okay, so I'm connected to that system. So If I say sudo su, and sudo su means you are connecting with the root user. You can say sudo I also. And now what next I want to do? I want to update my repository. So yum update -y. So with this command, you are updating your yum repository. Okay, which is not a mandatory step, but it will be good so that my repository is up to the mark. Okay, so this is the way when you are installing it on your Red Hat operating system. Same way you can first go to your, if you want to create it on the Ubuntu machine, so you can go ahead and update the repository, and then we will install the Git. So just let's wait for this. Okay, so they have a lot of update. Okay, so let it update. So what we can do now, it is doing fast. Okay, so meanwhile it is doing the update. What we'll do, we'll go to a website which is not GitHub basically. So you just say download Git. Okay, so there is a website for the Git where you can find the different downloads. So if you want to do it a download from Mac operating system, Windows, and you want RPM package for Git, that also you can do, but these days it is inbuilt in all the yum or apt repository. Git is available. Okay, but if you want a package to be installed with a different version, you can use that RPM package. Now here I just want to show you how to do it for the Windows. For Windows, basically what you need to do, you need to download the exe, so which is basically your uh, setup or installer. So you need to download that installer, whether you want to do it for 32-bit Windows setup or 64-bit. Okay, by default it is 64-bit, and you need to install it. And I downloaded it, and if I say open, and it will ask for permission, and you need to click on install. I have already installed, I am not doing that, but it is a very simple wizard. You just need to click install and it will get installed. And once it get installed, then you can go to any folder. So say an example, if I'm saying under F, I want to create a new directory. So if I say test git, test underscore git, And here what I will do, I will right click on it and I can go to the Git Bash here. So you will find two options. One is GUI and second is Git Bash. So you need to select Git Bash here. So what it will do, it will open the Linux window for you, and it is a SSH client, means you can use as the SSH client also. And here you are in the same folder. You can see under F test_git folder. And if I say ls, so you can run the Linux command here. And here also you can write the Git related commands. Okay, so say an example, if I say Git Init something, so you can see there is .git directory get created. So if I come here, so you cannot see because there are some options we need to change folder search. Okay, so there are some settings related to show the hidden files. Okay, so that files are not here. Okay, so
In the view, you should be able to find.
in the view, right? So in the view, hidden items here. So here you can see there is .git. Okay, so when I run this command git init, it has created one hidden folder, and that hidden folder is basically that hidden folder is having a name .git. So this Git is having all the files and directory which is related to my local repository. So test_git is my repository where .git is the hidden folder which has files and folders which will maintain my repository. Okay, so that is uh, what my Git local repository. Now, if I go back to my mobile extern, I think it should be updated as of now. Yes, it is done. Now here, if I say yum install git. So with this command, basically, we are installing the Git. Okay, now it is installing the Git. And now you can see Git is installed. And if I say git --version, so with this command, you can see my version it is showing, right? So it means Git is installed properly. There is no problem. Okay. So now Git is installed. What I will do, I will create a scenario. So what will be my scenario? It will be something like that. I want to create a, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a, so this is my machine. On this machine, I will create a new project. Okay. And I will maintain it into my local repository. And once this local repository is done, means if I create it, then I will push that into my central repository. So this is my central repository, and which is nothing but my GitHub. So to create a project on the local repository in real-time scenario, it is basically some Java, .NET, or your Python, PHP project. Whereas means in today's session, I will just show a means how to create the folder. Under folder, I will do this kind of work. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I will create a folder here. My folder name is say DevOps. So I have created one directory which is called DevOps. Let me go to into that directory. So I means you can consider DevOps is my project folder. Okay, so whenever we are performing a task for the local repository, so you need to do few things. First is the Git Init. You need to initialize that directory. That what this command does, this basically says that initialize the local repository. Okay, local repository. That is what I want to do. So I want my DevOps folder is my local is to be set for the local repository. Okay, and if I say git, so what it will do, it basically creates one .git folder, as I have shown you in the Windows, which will have the set of files and folders. Okay, so let us do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run the command git init. So when I run this, if I say ls -la, so you can see there is a directory .git get created. Okay, and if I say ls.git, so you can see there are some files and folders which basically meant for that DevOps project only. It is not related to all the projects which is in my repository. It is only initializing my DevOps directory. Okay, so the files and folders which is within the DevOps, these are the these files and folders basically managed to my local repository. Now, whenever I'm creating a file, whenever I'm creating a file or directory inside this DevOps folder, it will comes with the 3 stages. So if you want to store the file into your local repository, so there are 3 stages. Stage 1, when the file is untracked. So what is the meaning of untracked file? Means you have some file, say an example, if I create 1.txt file and I have not given any command to push it, by default it will not automatically push to the repository. First, it is untracked, means this is a normal file which I don't want to track. Second is your staging. Okay, so what do you want to do? You want to push this file into the staging folder. Okay, so untracked 2, it should first go into the staging. Once it is in the staging, then you can move to the local repository, which is commit. So we need to perform these 3 tasks. First, untrack, which is by default the stage of any file which is not tracked. Then we need to move it to the stage by using git add command, and then commit by using git commit command. So let us see with the example. So what I'm going to do here, I will create a file. Say an example, touch 1.txt file. Okay, so file is created. If I say ls, 1.txt file get created. Now if I say git status, so git status tell me whether it is untracked, staging or committed. So if I say uh, git status, so basically what it is saying, this file is untracked file, right? So this is untracked file. So now I want to move it into the staging. So the command is git add 1.txt. So now it will go to the staging. So if I say git status now, so you can see now it is ready for the commit. Okay, the changes is to be committed, but this file, this particular file is not yet committed. Now you need to commit it, but before doing a commit, you need to configure the username and the user email. These 2 parameters you need to configure. Okay, so what it means, so let me just What I will do, I will go here, erase all this and select my arrow. Okay. So here there are two types of configuration. One is global configuration, one is local configuration. So local configuration is local to that folder. So in my case, for my DevOps is my local folder. So for this folder, I want to perform some configuration. And same way for global, it is for all the repositories. So say an example, I'm creating DevOps folder, I'm creating project folder, I want to create project one, and so on. So basically what it does, this global configuration will be applied to each and every folder. But if there is a configuration on the project level, like DevOps project level, then that overrides the properties which is configured by the global. So say an example here, I'm saying on global level, there is a username, say Raman. Okay. And here on the DevOps, I'm saying username is say Raja. So now for this DevOps, the username will be Raja, not Raman. Whereas I did not change the username for this project and project one. So this username will be Raman for project and project one. Okay, so that is the configuration priority, means which one is more prior, which has the more priority. So to run the command, you need to use git config command -- global for the global settings, and git hyphen git config local for the local settings. Okay, so these are the commands which we need to use while setting up the configuration. So let us see how to do it. Okay, so let me just come out of this. Let me just select the normal. Okay, and here what I will do, if I say git status, so this file is basically in the staging. So if I say git config and if I say git config and hyphen global, and then user dot name, I'm saying Raman. Okay, so this is the username. Okay, config spelling is wrong. Okay, so what will happen basically if you go to ls/root, if I say ls-la root, so you will find there is a file get created git config. So if I say cat /root/dot git config, so you can see there is a user section get created. So what command I had given? User dot name Raman. So user is a section, name is a attribute, and Raman is a value. Okay. Same way, if you want to give the email also, so I will run the same command git config, and if I say user dot email, and if I say Raman dot, one second guys, I'm getting one call. Okay, so here the email I am giving raman@gmail.com. Okay, so now if I say cat slash root slash and dot git config, so you can see there are two properties get created under the user, which is user.name and user.email. Okay, anyone has any doubt, any question? Okay, so now
So Raman, the global setting will override the local setting, right?
no, local will override the global settings.
Okay, local will override the global.
Yes. So now if you want, if you see here ls.git, so here we have config file. Okay, so if I go to this config file, if I say cat uh, slash sorry git slash config file, you can see there is no section called uh, user, right? Now if I want to create a, so this is the file where the local configuration will get set up, whereas the global is in under the root.git config file. So if I say git config hyphen local, so that will add the entry into this file. And if I say user dot name, if I say Raja, okay. So now if I read this file, now you can see there is one section get created, which is user, and it has one attribute name, and the value is Raja. Okay. Now if I say git status now, so you can see my file is under the staging. Now if I say git commit -m, so -m is indicates the message, and which is a mandatory option you need to use. And here I am saying 1.txt is added. Okay, so commit is done. Now here if I run a command git log, so git log basically indicates what commits you have done. So this is my commit ID, and who is the author? It is saying Raja, and email Raja is my local config that user dot name, whereas this is my global, because I did not have the email for my local configuration. So that is why it has picked it up from the global configuration file. And this is the date when this commit has done. But everything is on the local account. It is not happening on the central server, because so far we don't have any repository for that. Okay, so now my first commit is done. Now what I want to do, I want to create some more files. So say an example, if I create 2.txt and 3.txt. Okay, so there are two commits, two files I want to create. And now if I say git add, you can write 2.txt space 3.txt. But if there are lot of files, then it will be very difficult to write each and every file name. So instead of that, you can use dot. So dot means all the files and folders. Okay, so here I'm saying git add dot. So it will take all the files and folders which is untracked. Now if I say git status here, so you can see these two files comes into the stage. Now I want to commit it. So if I say git commit -m, and I will say 2.txt. So this should be a meaningful message. So that means here if you see in the git log, this message basically indicates what you have done, right? If you don't give the meaningful message, then it will be very difficult for you to identify that what that commit I have done. So it should be always meaningful. Okay, so these two files get created. Okay, now if I say git status, so you can see both the files, there is nothing to commit, means everything is committed. Okay, now let me clear the screen, and if I say git log, now there are two commits happened. One is for my one is for my 1.txt is added, and second commit is 2.txt and 3.txt. So this is basically when you are adding the whenever you are adding the files. But say an example, you want to modify the file. So say an example, let me modify 1.txt file. So if I say cat and say an example this, I'm appending into that file and I'm saying line 1 is added. Okay, so if I say this, Control C. Now if I say git status, so you can see this is untracked, but the tag is now modified. Earlier it was added. Now if I say git and say status, we have seen, right? So if I say git add, if you can write 1.txt or you can write dot. So I'm using dot. Now if I say git status, now this file is in the staging. Now if I say git commit minus m, and I'm saying 1.txt is modified. Okay, so you can see it is modified, means commit is done. Even though if you say git status, so you can see there is nothing to commit. Now if I say git log, so you can see here my 1.txt is modified, which is the last commit I have done, 2.txt, which is previous one, and this is prior to previous one. This is the commit, right? So I think up till here everyone is clear. Anyone has any doubt, any question? Okay. Okay, Prashant is asking, is there... Okay, Prashant, you are clear about local repository and staging? Okay, great. Okay, now, if you want to see what was the difference between this and this, because here also I have added 1.txt, here I have modified, or if you want to have one more modification on 1.txt, then what could be the difference between 1.txt and when it was added and when it was modified? So you can use git diff command. So git difference. So I want to see the difference between this commit and this commit. Okay, so what it is saying, there is a difference. One line is missing in my, so here you can see A means first commit, and one line is to be added into the B, which was a blank file basically, and this is the line basically which is missing. Okay, so this basically shows you that this was the difference between first commit and second commit, and in between it is saying there are other things also happened, that 2.txt and 3.txt added, but these no there is no difference, means because we are not going to compare that. We want to compare our 1.txt and 2.txt because in between there are also some commits happen. That is why it is showing some entries here. Okay, but we have seen now line 1 is added, and that was the line which was added into my last commit, right? Now if you see, means when I am showing this, these things are repeated, right? These things are getting repeated. So repeated means these things I don't want to see again and again. So if you want to see only the commit ID and message, that will be good enough for me. So for that, actually I have in my notes. So if you go to my GitHub and whatever the commands which I am using, you can see it under my Git repository. So under Git commands, and here there is a command, this command, Git log graph pretty equals to 1 line. So with this command, what you can do, if you enter it, you can see now it is in the 1 line, right? Where basically I'm just showing that 1.txt is modified, 2. And 3.txt are added. So otherwise it was showing all that information which I don't want. Okay, I'm not much interested. I know that who has created it and when it was created. Okay, so this will be useful when you have lot of commits and you want to don't want to see page wise. You just want to see this line wise graphically, basically. That's why it is graph pretty 1 line. All right, and what we'll do, let's take a 15 minutes break, and meanwhile what you can do, you can go to github.com and see if you don't have any account in GitHub. Go and create the account. It's a very simple process. You just need to go and here I have already connected, but in your case it should be create sign up, right? Create your account, and once you create your account, it will ask for the email ID, and it will ask for the email ID, and then the mail will go into your email account, and you need to verify that email, and then you will be able to see your GitHub account is activated. So during this break, let's do that. I may unshare that, stop sharing my screen, but I will share it again after 10-15 minutes. Will it be okay with everyone? Anyone has any doubt, any question? Will you create the account meanwhile? What you're asking, is it possible we can connect SSH without IP address? Yes, you can use the DNS name also. So there is a DNS name, so you can connect with the DNS name also. So like this is the DNS name, you can copy it and you can connect with. But why you want like this? Dishant? Because I'm getting bill. Okay, okay, okay. So if you are not using the account, okay. So what you can do, then in that case, you need to create a virtual machine, virtual box you need to use. Or for this, you can use the windows also. You just, as I have shown you, right? You create one, you can create one folder, right click on that, git bash here, and you can do that practice here. So for that, you don't need to have the AWS account. Okay, is it clear? Not Docker. Docker, for the Docker, you need to have, means if you are using the, if you are using Linux, then you need to create a Linux machine for that. All right, so what we were doing, we were just checking that these are my commits which we have done. Now let us go back to our GitHub. Hopefully you have the account now. So I already have the account. Once you have the account and if it is verified, then you will get screen something like that. You may not get this list because I have created all this repository. But if you want to create a repository, what you can do, you can click on new and here the repository name. So you can give any repository. So if I say DevOps school batch, okay. So if I give this name, now you want to give some description, that is optional. And the if you want to give some description, so you can say this is my application repository, okay. Then you want to create it public or private. So public means it should be available to everyone, means anyone can see it, means other people cannot modify it until unless you give the proper collaboration, but other people can see it, okay. So if you want to visible to everyone, then you will use the public. So there is no password, nothing, so they can go and use that public repositories, like some open source and freeware softwares which we use. So now these days we are keeping it on our public repository. So if these are on the public repository, everyone can see it and everyone can download it. But if you want to make it private, you can make it private. But for private repository, you need to pay the amount. Okay, so it depends that how much you are using. For normal, it is $7 per month, I believe. That is the price for that course. Okay, but I am going to create a public repository. If you want to create a README file for your repository, it is up to you. I'm not going to create that. I'm simply saying create repository. Okay, once you have done this repository, this get created, now you will see this HTTPS URL. So this URL is basically the URL for my repository. So you can see here DevOpsSchool batch.git. Okay, so let me copy this URL. Now let me go back to my local repository. I want to push all these files to my global repository. So by default, basically what happens, there are some branches get created. So by default, there is only master branch get created where you have the latest code. Okay, so the code which you have committed, everything is in the master. Now, first I need to tell to my local repository that there is a global repository. You need to connect it. So for that, Git Remote Add. So you need to use a command, Git Remote Add origin and your URL. Okay, so I need to tell to my branch that, or not to branch, to basically my project, that there is a remote repository to which I need to connect. Okay, so if I run this command, so now my remote repository is set for my project. Now I want to push the code. So the command is git push origin and your branch name. My branch name is master. So if I run this command, okay, now it is asking for the username. Means for which user, because I'm pushing the code to a remote repository, it means I should have the right access. And to verify that, you need to give the username and password. So I'm giving my username, online guy, and the password. So now it is pushing the code from my local repository to the remote repository. And you can see it is successful. Now if I go here and refresh my page, now you can see all the commits which I have done. 1.txt is modified, 2.txt are added, 3.txt. So there are 3 commits basically. So first commit was 1.txt is added. So here basically there is one file get created, 1.txt, and there was no code. Okay, it was blank. And whereas here if you see 2.txt, it will be blank file, 2 files, and if I go to 1.txt modified, so you can see +1, there is one line is added, which is line 1 is added. Okay, so now my files on my local system and on my remote system, it is in sync. Okay, so let me go back to my, so these are whatever the commits I have done on my local system, all the commits are available here. So I can do my frequent commits on my local machine, and these frequent commits can be posted or pushed to the remote repository. Anyone has any doubt, any question? If we are going to add local repository to global remote, where is the significance of local username and okay, so the commits which we have done, right? So you can see these commits are here, but the commits which basically you can see here, right? So the local user, because these things are added by the local, so that you can check it here. So if I say git log, so you can see the author and the everything is on local system, because this is for your local repository, right? So you can see that who has done this commit, because you have the commit ID, and on the basis of this commit ID, you can see this commit ID is here, right? So there is a commit ID, okay, and this commit ID is basically gets changed, right? And right, so it is showing this file get changed. Now on the basis of this commit ID, you can check that who was the author and on which date it was changed. Okay, Prashant. All right. So now let me go back. Now say an example. There is a new developer who has joined and he wants this latest project. So he has to connect to the remote repository, right, and download the project. So let us do in this way. I will create another folder. I will call it uh, new DevOps. Let me go inside this folder. Now here what I want to do, I want to download the project. And if you want to download, the command is git clone. Okay, so git clone and you can take that ID because this is publicly available, so I can clone it. So I'm saying git clone and the my ID. So now what it has done, it has downloaded that project. So if I say ls, so you can see there is a repository name which is DevOps schools. Now it is get downloaded. Let me go inside this. And if I say ls, so you can see all these three files get, I can see it. If I say cat 1.txt, you can see line 1 is added. If I say cat cat 2.txt, it's blank. Cat 3.txt, it is blank. So it is the same, means whatever it was on my remote repository, everything is downloaded here. So basically I cloned it. So when I cloned it, so git initialization and your remote repository, everything is set up here. So which when I try to cloning some repo, so it should be public one, right? If it is not public, then it will ask username and password. Okay. Now let me just, and the remote repository is also set for this. So say an example, if I say I am going to create one more file here, and the file name is say 4.txt. Okay, 4.txt file is added. So if I say git add dot, and if I say git commit minus m, 4.txt is added. So basically one file is added here. Now if I say git, so I want to push this file to my remote repository, and remote repository is already set because I did the git clone. So if I say git push origin master, it will ask the username. So because I'm pushing it, so this is the username, password I'm giving. Okay, for my username. Okay, something goes wrong. Let me give the username again. Okay, so this is now pushed. Now if I go back to my remote repository and if I refresh this, So you can see 1.txt, 2.txt, 3.txt, and 4.txt is available. Now, because this 4.txt, I pushed it from my new DevOps folder, so that is why it is here. Now, if I go back to my DevOps directory, so if I go back to my DevOps directory, no, but here it is not in sync because this folder, I did not say that be in sync with your GitHub repository. It is sitting idle. So there is no action perform on this particular directory. Now, if you want to do something like that, means, say an example, if you say uh, you create one more file, let us create one file. If I say touch5.txt, git add dot git commit -m 5.txt is added. If you run this command, so it means there is a new file. Okay. So there is a new file is committed, right? If I say git status, nothing to commit, right? Because everything is committed. And if I say ls, so I have 1.txt, 2.txt, 3.txt, but 4.txt is not there because I did not pull that so far. So, but now I'm trying to push this file. So if I say git push origin master, without 4.txt, I'm pushing it. So let me just give the username and password. Okay, it is saying it is rejected. Why it is rejected? Because 4.txt file is not here. So whenever you are pushing the code, your local repository should be in sync with your remote repository. If it is not, then it cannot push the code. So let me just make it in sync. So to make it in sync, what you can do, you can write a command git pull origin master. So you need to use the pull command. Okay, it is just giving some information, means these are the things. If so, I'm saying that yes, I'm okay with that, and run the command git pull command. Okay, now you can see here there is a 4.txt file is added. Now if I say ls, so you can see there is a file 4.txt and 5.txt. Both the files are there, right? Now if I say git push origin master now, okay, let me give the username. Okay, invalid username. Okay, now you can see it is pushing the code, right? And the file is pushed. Now if I say ls 1 2 3 4 5, and if I go here and refresh my, now you can see 5.txt is added, right? And now if you want to make in sync with new DevOps folder, then what you need to do, you need to use the git pull command there. All right, so this is, so means if there is a question for the Git in the interview. So this is very frequently asked question. What is the difference between Git clone and Git pull command? So now I think you understand that. Now let us talk about branches now. Okay, so what are the branches? So here you can see there is only one branch so far, which is the master branch, which is the default branch. Because when I wrote the command, I wrote it that git push origin master. Okay, so when you say git push origin master, then it basically take the branch and the branch name is master. But most of the time in real-time scenarios, we have multiple branches, and these branches are basically based upon the developers you have created. So say an example, there is a developer called Prashant, there is a developer called Raman, developer called say Naveen. Then these developers has three branches. So as a team lead, what I will do, I will create three branches so that their work is to be segregated. And whenever they are done, they can merge their code into the master branch. And we always consider, and this is a kind of a rule which you need to make while pushing the code, that the master branch should have the latest and greatest code. Okay, so master branch should have the latest and greatest code. Other branches can have the different code. So say an example, branch 1 or Raman branch, Raman is doing some changes, so that is specific to Raman changes. So when Raman wants to push the code, at that time it is to be verified whether the code is as per the expectation or not, or whether it is to be pushed or not. So that will be decided by the code reviewer. So now let us create some branches first. Whenever you are creating a branch, so whatever the latest code you need to create the branches when you are in the master branch. And whenever you are creating the branches code should be same as your master master branch code. So let us see how to create that. Okay, so I'm inside the DevOps folder. Okay, so if first of all you want to see how many branches are there, you need to run a command git branch, and it is showing only master branch, and the star is in front of master. It means master branch is the branch where you are working in. Okay, now if I want to create a branch, so if I say git branch and the branch name, say an example, I want to create a branch f1. So if I say git branch now, so you can see there are two branches, one is f1 and other is master. And if you want to delete a branch, you say git branch -d, which branch you want to delete, f1 branch. Okay, so it will delete the branch. If you say git branch, so you will see there is only master branch, other branches deleted. Now same way, if you want to, say an example, I want to create branch, so the command will be git branch f1. Now if you want to go inside that branch, the command is git checkout f1. So it means I'm in the f1 branch. Now if I say, if you want to see what is in this branch, so, or if you say git branch now, this command, So now you can see star is in front of F1. It means F1 is the current branch. And if I say git, if I say ls, so you can see all the files and folders are available in this branch. If you want to go back to your master branch again, git branch. So what you need to do, git checkout and master. So I'm inside the master branch. Now if I say ls, so these files are available. Now let me create one more branch, say git branch f2. So now there are three branches basically. One is master, another is f1 and f2. So if I say git checkout, not, I don't want to go there. I'm just want to check. So if I say git branch, so it will show branches of which is master and f1 and f2. Now what I want to do, if I say git, if I create a file, so let me create one more file, say touch6.txt file. Okay, so now I'm creating a file 6.txt file, which is I am currently in the master branch. And if I say git add dot git commit -m, and if I say 6.txt is added. Okay, so 6.txt file is added. Now if I say git, if I go back to my, so first of all I'm in the master branch. If I say ls, so all the 6 files are there. Now if I say git checkout f1, so now you can see I'm in master, I'm in f1 branch. If I say ls, so you can see 6.txt file is not there because I did not update it in the f1 branch. So what you need to do, you need to merge f1 branch with master. So the command is Git Rebase Master. Or let me do one thing. Let me first create some file here. So if I say touch7.txt. Okay, so this change is in the 7.txt. And if I say git add 7.txt git, so now I'm in the f1 branch, -m 7.txt is added. Okay, so if I say git status, so nothing to commit. Now if I say git rebase master, okay, so now if I say git, if I say ls, so first of all 127.txt, all the files are available. So 6.txt was not there earlier, right? If you see here, 6.txt was not there, then I added 7 now. But when I did rebase, so what it has done, it merged basically f1 with the master branch. Okay, if I say git log, so Here you can see one thing. When we are using rebase command, it basically, when it merge, it has all the master branches changes first, then the feature that F1 branches changes. Okay, so that is basically the rebase command does. Now, if I go to my other branch, which is F2, so if I say git checkout F2. Okay, now if I say ls, so there is no changes, means I don't have 6.txt or 7.txt. Now what I will do, I will create one more file here, touch 8.txt file. Okay, I will say git add dot git commit -m, and here I will say git commit -m. I will say 8.txt is added. 8.txt is added. Okay, so now this commit is on my F2 branch. Now if I say ls here, there is no 6.txt, no 7.txt. Now what I will do, I will do the rebase with the master. So I will say git rebase master. So what it will do, it will basically apply the changes as we have done. Right now there is no 7.txt, but my 8.txt is added. So in this case, if I go to my master branch, so my master branch is not up to the mark. Why? Because, so if I say ls here, so this is F2 branch. So if I say git checkout master, okay, and if I say ls, so it does not have 7.txt and 8.txt, because what I did, I rebase, means merge F1 with the master. I did not say master with the F1 or F2. Okay, so if you are doing the merge with the master, then the command is git merge, means you want to merge the F1 branch. So what it will do, it will basically add one file. Now if I say ls, so you can see 7.txt is added. Now same way, if I say I want to add it with the feature 2, right? And now you can see 8.txt is also added. Okay, so this way basically you can see that how to add these files, right? So we have done the merge. So this concept is called git merge command. Anyone has any doubt, any question?
So, Raman, git merge F1 is to merge master with F1. Or
Yes.
I am confused. Okay.
So means if the branch with which we are merging, so whatever is the difference, so that will be added it to here. Okay. So yeah, so whenever you are doing the rebase, so here we have done the git merge. Now if I say git log here, I'm in the master branch. So now you can see, okay, so all the merges happened. So if you see here, right, we have this commit, which is currently it is pointing to the master, merge with mass F2, right? And here the F1 merge was happened, merge with the branch this, right? So basically merge and rebase, if you are, so one thing you can just remember it, that if you are doing a merge with master, means master, you are in the master branch and you want to merge the other branches, you need to use a merge command. And when you are merging with the branches and you are in the branches and you want to merge the master, then you better to use the rebase command. So it will graphically, that is the difference, means it will first have the entries related to your master, then we have the entries related to the, or commits related to the branches. Okay. Okay, now what I want to do, say an example, if there is some conflict happens. So what it means, conflict means. So say an example, I'm here, I'm in the master branch. How can I check? Git branch. So I'm in the master branch. Okay, in the master branch, I have all, now I have updated files. So let me do one thing. Let me just delete that my branches. So if I say git branch -d F1, and if I say F2, so both the branches get deleted. Now if I say git branch, and I'm creating again, say I will create feature 1 and I will create feature 2. So there are two branches I have created which will have all the files 1 to 8.txt. So here are the files. Now let me go into the feature 1. So if I say git checkout feature 1, so I'm inside feature 1 now. Now if I say ls, so I have all this file. Let me do some changes into 8.txt. So what I'm saying, cat 8.txt, and what basically I'm going to write, I'm saying this line is added by feature 1, control C. Okay, now if I say git add dot git commit -m, so feature 1 changes to 8.txt. Okay, now if I say, if I go to another branch which is my feature 2, so if I say git checkout, means I'm just creating one scenario where one file is modified by multiple users. So now I'm going to feature 2, and if I say cat 8.txt, it is blank. So I'm just adding one entry here. If I say cat 8.txt, and I'm saying this line is added by feature 2. Okay, Control C. Now what I will do, git add dot git commit -m, and I will say feature 2 changes to 8.txt. Okay, now if I say cat here 8.txt, so this line is added. Now let me go back to my Git Checkout master. So let me go to my master. Okay, now if I say ls here, so if I say cat 8.txt, it is blank. Now I'll say git merge feature 1. So now the change is added, one line is added. So if I say cat 8.txt, so you will see line 1 is, now I'm in the master branch. So feature 1 is added. So line is added by feature 1. This is fine. Now if I say git merge feature 2. So now there is a conflict happened, which is called the merge conflict. In merge conflict, basically what happens, both the branches contents are basically conflicting. So merge is confused whether I need to merge feature 1 branches changes or feature 2 branches changes. So for that, now you need to resolve this problem. So here we need the manual intervention. Means there will be someone who will be checking your code, and he needs to decide that whether feature 1 or feature 2, which code is to be merged, or both. Okay. So for that, you need to use git merge tool command. Okay. So for that, you need to install vim editor. So I'm just installing vim. Okay. If I say git merge tool, merge tool, spelling block. Okay, enter. Here on the left hand side, it is showing the contents related to feature 1. On the right hand side, it is showing the contents related to feature 2. And in the middle, it is showing the master branch, which was blank. Down, it is showing what you want to do. So here, what I'm doing, I'm just, so now here, what I will do, I will make the changes. The team leader is doing the changes. Okay. So feature 1, I want to merge these changes. Okay. So these are the things I want to do. Just save it. Now it will ask that this was the changes on the feature 1. You want to keep it? No, I don't want to keep it. Feature 2 changes? No, I don't want to keep it. Okay, all these files otherwise unnecessarily get created. Now if you say ls, so there will be your original file. If you want to keep it at your wish, otherwise you can delete it. So let me just remove that file. Okay. So now if I say cat 8.txt, so this file is having my merge conflict resolution, means I have merged it. Now if I say git status, so you can see this file is to be yet to commit because I did a merge. So if I say git commit -m, if I say latest 8.txt. Okay, so now if I say git status, so you can see everything is fine, all the files are there. If I say cat 8.txt, the file is having merged entry. So this way we are basically solving the merge conflict problem. Any doubt, any question? All right, so now consider that I have, so I'm in the DevOps folder. So let me create a file here, touch 9.txt. And if I say git add dot, git commit minus m, 9.txt file is added. Okay, now I will make some changes into this file. So if I say cat, and if I say 9.txt, and if I say line 1, okay, git add dot, git commit minus m, 9.txt is modified. So now again I'm making some changes, and I'm saying line 2. Okay, so git add dot, git commit minus m, I will say 9.txt is again modified. Okay, so if I say ls and if I say cat 9.txt, so you can see line 1 and line 2. Now what I want to do, I want to revert back the changes. So if I say git log, so there is log entry which is related to 9 is modified again, line 9.txt is modified, added. So I want to revert back the changes to my previous version. So if I say git revert, so you need to use the revert command. Okay, git revert, and then the commit ID. So this I want to revert back the changes. That's fine. Now if I say ls now, if I say cat 9.txt, so you can see the last changes which I have done, it is reverted back. Okay, so this way basically you can revert back the changes to the previous version. Okay, now if I say git status, nothing to commit, let me just add a file, touch 10.txt. Okay, and now if I say cat and so 10.txt, and if I say git add dot, git commit minus m, 10.txt is added. So if I say git log, so you can see that 10.txt is added. Now what I will do, I will say git tag v0. Okay, so what I have done, I have created some tags. So tag is basically commit. So up till here 10.txt is added. Now if I say create one more file which is 11.txt, and if I say git add dot git commit minus m, and if I say 11.txt is added, and if I say git status, nothing to commit, git log, you can say 11.txt is added. So what I will say, git tag v1. Okay, v1 tag is added. Now basically now I have created different release, different tags. One tag is for my version 0, second is for version 1. So if I say git checkout v0, okay, so now I check out to v0. Now if I say ls, so you can see it is up till, okay, so it was up till 9.txt, not 9.txt, basically 10.txt. Okay, so 10.txt is here. Now if I say git checkout v1, so now my version 1 is tagged out, and if I say ls, so you can see 11.txt file here, whereas this file was not here. So whenever you want to go to any release, you can directly move to this with the git tag command. Okay, so git tag is basically to move it to a particular version. Okay, so this is my git tag command. Okay, now just let me check. Okay, merge. Okay, so see, now I have different branches. So if I say git branch, so you can see I have feature 1, master, right? So if I say git checkout, say feature 1. Okay, now I'm on the feature 1 branch, and if I say ls, it is up till 8.txt file, no 9.txt or 10.txt or 11.txt. Now what I want to do, I want to push these changes to my GitHub repository. But so far there is, so if I go here, so far there is no other branch, only master branch was there, right? So I want to push that changes. So what we need to do, I need to run a command git push origin. Instead of master, I will say feature 1. Okay, I need to give the, so I'm creating a new branch, which is the feature 1. So online training guy I'm passing the para. Now it is creating new branch for me. Okay, and that new branch is feature one. So if I go here, you can see feature one get created. So if you, okay, so let me just refresh this. Okay, so you can see there is a feature one branch. So if I click on this, okay, so you can see 1.txt all up till 8.txt files are there. Master branch, if I go to master branch, it will have the files which I have last updated. So it was up till 5.txt. Other files I did not update so far. I did not push it. So up till 5.txt files are available in the Git main or master directory. All right. So this is how you can create the. Now, if you want to do some modification on your branches or on your GitHub repository, you can go to the settings. So here you can see the settings. So here, if you want to change the name of your repository, you can change it. If you want to do a collaboration, so manage access. So first, what I want that there are other team members who can access my GitHub repository because this is the remote repository. So here, what I'm giving the access to the other users. So first for that, you need to add the, okay, so now it is asking who has the access. Okay, so now they have changed something. Okay, you need to say invite collaborator. So here you need to give the user ID whose account is created in the, so if I say Raman Sharma 95, so this is my another account. So once I select this and create it, then what it will do, it will send the invitation, and that invitation is in the form of the mail. So you will receive one mail, means the person who you are adding, so that person will receive an email for the invitation to be the collaborator of this particular GitHub repository. So it means you can also have the right access. Okay, so whenever I was giving the username and password, so if you give this user username and password, that will also work. All right, now if you want to delete your remote repository, that also you can do. So just go to your settings, and if you want to make it private, restrict the access, who can do the uh, edit, so these options are available. So here you can see down here there is a make private, archive this repository, or you want to delete. I'm saying I'm deleting this. So it is saying this will be permanently delete. You need to type this. So I need to copy paste this, and after that it will get deleted. Okay, now next is the fork. So in the fork, when you click on this fork, so say an example, you are searching some directory. Okay, so say an example, any directory I'm searching. Okay, and if I share that directory with you, right? Directory means this DevOps school batch, which I'm saying. So this repository I want to share with you. Once I shared with you, then you can click on fork. Then if you see, everything is copied to my other, means it's my local only. So you will get one notification that how many forks has done. If you give the star to this, you will get the star also. This, there is 1 star, there is 2 star. How many people watched it? That information will be here. So that's what I was saying. You just need to, the URL which I have shared. You just open it and click on fork. So entire repository comes into your GitHub repository. Okay, so this way basically uh, we are managing our repository. This repository you can do a web hookup. So web hookup is basically we use with the help of Jenkins. So whenever you are trying to connect with the Jenkins and you want that there is a, whenever you are making any changes and there should be a CI/CD pipeline. So that you will see in your Jenkins lecture where we are going to set up the webhook, and that webhook is nothing but it is saying that I'm basically hooking up with this particular URL which is payload. So whenever you are making any changes into your GitHub, that automatically get built, automatically get tested, and so on. So this thing is basically in your webhook. Okay. Okay. One more thing on the GitHub repository. So say an example, I'm currently in the, if I say Git branch, I'm currently in the feature 1 branch. Let me create a file which is, say an example, 12.txt file. Okay. Touch 12.txt. Okay. Now if I say git add dot, now I am not committing it. So if I don't commit it, what will happen? If I go back to my, say, master branch. So if you say ls, this 12.txt is also visible here. So the files, if it is not committed, then this file will be visible to everyone, which you want to avoid. Okay, which you want to avoid. So here, if you go to Git Checkout, and that was my feature 1. Okay, and if I say Git Stash, okay, so now if I say Git Checkout Master, now you will see 12.txt is not visible because I stash out, means if the files which is not committed, so I want to make it invisible to other branches. So now I will make my changes, and if I say Git Checkout feature 1, and if I say Git Stash Pop, so now that file is came again. Now if I say git add dot git commit -m 12.txt is added. Okay, now if I say git checkout master, and now if I say ls, you will not find 12.txt because now it is committed. Okay, so this way you can use the git stash command. Okay, me see if anything is left. So I'm almost done. I believe I'm done with this. So you can go to this Git commands. All the commands I have written here with some scenarios. Okay, merge we have done. This we have done. So I'm done with Git. So anyone has any question, any doubt?
I am good, Roman. Thank you.
Okay.
I have to practice basically. That would
Yeah.
give us-
Yes, it's a set of commands that you need to practice. And it's not difficult. It's very easy. 1 or 2 times if you revise this, it will be on your tips. Okay. And what about others? Anyone has? Okay. So Prashant is saying so far it is good. Okay. So then if there is no question, then we can wind up this session.
Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Want to study further? Subscribe to our paid membership to get a deep dive into each and every topic. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to our DevOps School channel and hit the bell icon to learn more. Keep learning.